So, as people are still logging in, please share either a win in the chat or a celebration or progress you've made in the past week or something or someone you are grateful for. Rochelle, you just wrote about Corey and Renata. Do you want to quickly shout them out?
Oh, they're amazing. I think people know that I did a presentation on how to create an unforgettable pitch, and then I've had a conversation with both Renata and Corey. Those two are just unreal, and I'm here to say that I'm going to start my first team group sessions on May 19th. And that's only because of you. You said pick a date, and then you said something like pick it in May. Yep. And I looked at the calendar in May, and I can't tell you, there was not one date that was okay. And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. You pick a date, and you're going to make it okay. So I'm here to tell you it's May 19th.
Congratulations. Brilliant. David?
So first, after the condo went on the market in July of last year, but being downtown, it went into contract last night.
Nice.
So I'm super thrilled because the rest of my life is hinging on that. But also just really cool. I met this person in Lunch Club, and among many things that we talked about the Alchemist Journal. And she said, oh, maybe I should get that for my team. And I figured like, oh, that's one of those polite things you say to a complete stranger in Lunch Club. And then she messaged me last night. She goes, so any words of wisdom to give as I hand these out to my team? And so I quickly go online to Barnes & Noble and saw that she bought 7 copies. I think that was amazing. And so I'm really just, the energy last night around here was really high.
Nice. Love that. Thank you for sharing. And congrats on the condo. Joanne?
I always hop when you call out my name. It's like, oh, that's me. It's like teacher calling me to attention in the class. But yeah, I've had a few conversations booked on, as I said, with the time exchange, that you recommended.
Yeah.
And so I put out a post on LinkedIn, and I got about 10 calls booked through that.
Nice.
Which is great. And yes, it's getting easier. I literally have the dream conversation, each part of it kind of penciled out, and I literally put it here in front of me. And they can't see it, but I literally read the questions as I've custom made them for my program. So yeah, it's great. And then with more reps, I'm getting through it, and it's getting easier. And I've had some amazing calls yesterday, so it's great.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Reps is the theme for all of this, right? You have to put in the practice. Love it. Tiffany, can you share what you wrote in the chat?
Hey, Gio, I'm driving to pick up my kids in the car, but yeah, I was the one who did like everything, let me get on the call with you, let me talk to you. And I kind of was like, you need to stop doing all of the things and sort of step back and do it, kind of with your suggestion virtually.
Yep. And
I started taking your framework and just kind of focusing more on the email aspect of it. And I had planned to launch in April, and I upped my price, and I kind of followed the framework, and I did very well. And I just signed another one today, so it's 15 people, right? So it hasn't stopped, and it's working. Yay!
And what does that represent in revenue?
So I myself was, if I include today, we're probably hitting almost 9,000.
That's amazing. So amazing. Love it. Okay. So I am thanking all of you for sharing your wins and your celebrations and your gratitudes in the chat. I want to jump into today's conversation. Before I do, I have a surprise. Who likes surprises? Anybody? Okay. So it's actually a gift. I have a gift for everybody. This is week 11 of Odyssey, and next week is our last coaching call together. Or is it? Dramatic pause. So I want to be more helpful and more useful and support all of you, especially with launching in May. So I thought, okay, what fun, cool, awesome thing can we do? And what we're going to do is extend coaching of Odyssey all the way till the end of May. So an extra month of coaching together and 3 extra coaching sessions. So May 4th, May 18th, May 25th. There's a Wednesday in between there where we're doing our Odyssey event that we aren't doing any coaching calls. But I wanted to extend all of this, and it's all included with your Odyssey tuition. So yeah, there's my, I hope that's a fun way to start today's call. I have an intuitive hunch that if anyone here is feeling any kind of anxiety or nerves around launching, or even this program wrapping soon, that this was like a nice, like your shoulders came down 3 inches. Yeah, Stephanie, I had a feeling. So that's the gift / surprise. So what we're going to do, we'll have May 25th be the last official training call. And then the next 4 calls after this week are all what I call love seats, where I'll be helping you work on your language, your structures, any questions you have. It's all about all of you. So that's for Odyssey. Also want to share what happens after Odyssey for any of you that want to continue working with me and working with us and being in this community. So you've probably heard us talk about Archangel Academy. Many of our Academy members are here. If you're an Academy member and you can hear me speak right now, just write the word Academy in the chat so people know who's in the group. So if you are an Academy member, yeah, awesome. Thank you, everybody. So Academy is essentially all of us, and we meet once a week, just like this, on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's more of a longer term, year-long membership where we go deeper into the marketing and business building, as well as some of the mindset stuff to become the person that can make your dreams a reality. So it's part coaching, part mastermind group for peer sharing, accountability, and support. And to me, those 3 things are sometimes most of the important stuff. So what you get with membership, we'll do 50 calls a year. We have a huge library of tools and training sessions that so anything that we've already recorded, you can have access to all of that. You also get me coaching, and we'll bring in guest experts and guest coaches. Our members are the best. You guys are all the best. And it feels like family. So if, Academy has been around for years, and anyone who's been in the group knows that feeling where we are all there to support each other to win. And you've tasted this part of it here, but if you're not in Academy yet, there's this energy and a feeling of a safe space to be yourself, to share your wins, share your struggles, and become the leader that makes the dream a reality. So to give you an idea, like this month, I did a training on how to create a test drive version of your group coaching to enroll more clients that the members really loved. And then yesterday, actually, we had our guest, a friend who's also in our world. His name is Darius Bashar, who is a professional photographer and selfie coach, and recently is crushing it on TikTok. He's had like hundreds of thousands of people follow him and millions of views. And he gave a breakdown of how to launch yourself on that platform, even if you don't, because these things are becoming more and more relevant. And it was a freaking epic train. Like I took 3 pages of notes from that. So when you join, you get replays of all the trainings like that we've ever done. That's Darius, if you want to follow him on TikTok. The annual fee for Academy is $4,997 for the year. But if you're in Odyssey and you join by the end of May, you'll get 1,000 off. So it'll be $3,997. And if you join by the end of April, you'll save an additional $500. So it'll be $3,497 for the year. And that is the exclusive offer for anyone who's joined Odyssey that wants to continue with us in Academy. Plus, if you join now and you don't have a Nexus ticket, Nexus is included with Academy membership. So if you want to come to Archangel Nexus next month and you join Academy before the end of April, you get that ticket as well. Jen, I think I read your mind. So these are some of our events in the past. for all of you, especially Academy members, you may not know this. Some of the people who are attending Nexus, it's going to be mind blowing. So we have Gareb Shamus, the founder of Comic-Con, Dr. John Berardi, who sold Precision Nutrition for over like $100 million. Alex Catoni, who's one of the best marketing copywriters in the world. Dr. Jeff Spencer, who is the performance coach for Tiger Woods and Bono from U2. Jen Kim, who's an amazing branding expert. My partner, Stephanie Estimas. Sonia Zarbatani, who's an amazing social media expert. Martin Latulippe, who's spoken at our big events. It would take me forever to read all these bios. Like Sally Hogshead is attending, who's been on our big stages, and she's coming as an attendee to hang out with us. So yeah, awesome experience. And the Nexus tickets are $3,600. So if you join Academy before the end of April, you're actually getting it for a few dollars less than the Nexus ticket, and you're getting a year's worth of coaching with us. So let me do this so you can see me. And that's what's happening. So if you want to continue with us, just DM me or email hello@archangel.cc, letting us know that you want to join Academy sooner. Otherwise, we'll remind you later. For today, this excellent conversation is called The Storyteller, and we'll talk about how to collect stories from your current cohort members. So once you've launched, as you are running your groups, how to collect stories from them to attract dream clients for future cohorts. And then today we'll also do some love seeding. I had asked, and I have a few of you that I want to go through, and then we'll continue this every week. So if you've seen the training from this week, why do I use the word stories instead of the word testimonials? If you want to answer, just type the word share in the chat and I'll call on you. Why do I use the word stories instead of testimonials? Yeah, Rochelle.
Whenever we tell a story, there's an emotional connection to it, and we remember stories. When I hear a testimonial in general, they're pretty boring. They're like, I took Odyssey and it was interesting. But when you tell a story, saying, when I started at Odyssey, I didn't know, I had no clue about how to create a program. Within a mere less than 3 months, I had my first group booked. Although petrified, I'm sitting here basking as I, gloat over my $9,000 check. Like there's something like that. You can just tell so much more in a story. It's just so vivid. Now, very often we may not even remember what the hell it was about, but we'll remember the story. And stories are personal and they're fun and they're not, they're not one-dimensional. Yeah. So I always say the more stories we can tell, and my tagline for so many people is, are you storytelling or boring telling? Testimonials are boring. Stories are, like vivid. They're amazing. And especially stories about you. I mean, hello. That has another level. Imagine being, guided by the superstar, with somebody with the superpowers of any imaginable Marvel character. I mean, we can go on and on and that. You think Star Wars was great. 3 to 4 o'clock on Wednesday is great. We can go on and on by telling stories about Geo and how stupendous this particular room is. So that's my take on stories.
Thank you. Thanks, Rochelle. So in the training, I mentioned how you want, and thank you, Rochelle, for sharing this kind of stuff. You want believability, which means we don't often completely trust testimonials. We sometimes think, is this real or fake, or is it embellished? And then empathy. When, the example I gave is, imagine you're in a movie theater watching a film, a dramatic film, there's a tense scene or something happens that's sad and you start crying, but nothing happened to you. So why are you crying, right? So when we experience story, we get connected to the people in the story, whether it's fiction or real. And that creates resonance. What I'll be sharing, I'll just share it today, or sorry, I'll share it right now, a slide from the end of today's presentation, but I want to share it now, which is you want people you want someone experiencing your client story, so a potential new client, to say, I want that. I want to be where that person is. I want to experience that transformation. And, I mentioned this email that we received for Dr. Stephanie's practitioner program from someone who went through that group. And all I did, so she emailed us with a specific question about something else. And I responded saying, hey, can you tell us more? And she wrote this email, and it was the most amazing case study story from her experience in that practitioner program, where they're also launching group coaching programs specifically for women who want a health transformation. And she had an email list of 10 people, and 8 of them signed up at 1,800 US per person. And my favorite part is at the end, she says, others started to ask questions and why they weren't invited. And to me, that's actually profound for all of us, because we're so nervous to invite people to our things, whether it's a program or whatever it is. And there are people out there that are waiting for you to invite them. You become their dream come true. And they're maybe even wondering, oh my God, why are they looking over me? Or why am I not invited to this thing? So here are the best times from my own experience to collect stories and how to use them, right? So the first one is during wins and celebrations. You all see me do this. And I suggest each of you start every, maybe not the first one, but by the third coaching session to start doing wins, celebrations, and gratitudes. First, it's so important to create that container of positivity. So when people join your calls, they can de-stress and reset their energy. But when someone shares something that you think is awesome, here's all you have to do. You say these new magic words. Are you all ready for the magic words? I've done this, I don't know, 1,000 times. I actually did it today with Tiffany. Tell me more. So when someone writes something as a win, all you have to say is tell me more. But the cool thing about tell me more is that they will come on and share a story from their own words. It's not pre-scripted. They haven't thought about it. It's just them sharing their experience. And those kinds of stories that come out are the best ever client stories. So what we do when that kind of stuff happens, we'll clip the video and then ask the person permission. Can we use this video in the future for something? Or take what the person said, transcribe it into words, and use it as an email or social media post. But it's their words, and it's not, they didn't have time to think about it. The thinking about it actually causes anxiety or stress for someone. Like I had, people will often ask me for feedback or testimonials or book reviews or whatever it is. And it stresses me out. And it stresses me out because I want to say the right thing. I want to make them look good. I want to do the right thing for them. But if you ask me in an interview or in a natural conversation, what comes out is usually the best stuff. So I highly suggest all of you do this. The second thing is in your first and last coaching calls. So in your first coaching call, when you're getting people to introduce each other or introduce themselves to each other, you can walk them through the dream conversation again, or to ask them, by the end of this program, what has to happen for you to feel like this was a dream come true for you? And that sets the stage for awesome storytelling. And in the last coaching call, you can do something similar to say, share your journey with us. What were the highlights of the past 12 weeks together? And then again, because especially if you do this on Zoom, you're recording it, you get the chat, you get the recording of it. And very important, super important, always get consent. Never, ever, 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 ever use something that someone said without their permission. Even if you think it's implied, it's not implied. Just if someone says something cool in your group, especially because of the privacy and intimacy you want to create, make sure to get permission first. And then opportunity 3 is something, I call it, where are they now? So have you ever seen those TV shows where someone's a contestant of something and then years later, or someone's a celebrity and they'll have where are they now? And they do like a story about that person. You can do the same thing with your clients. So when you host a future cohort, as an example, you can invite a past cohort member to come on as a guest to share their story. You can also do this, like I've done this in masterclasses, in events, in our test drive mastermind things that we do called senior sessions, at live events. Anytime you're gathering people together, it creates an opportunity to have someone you've helped transform share their story. And you can interview them or ask them some quick questions, or even if it's just 30 seconds. again, it provides such absolute magic for you, but it also inspires other people because it makes them feel, well, if that person can do it, I can do it. And it creates more momentum for your current cohort. And then you can interview your clients after the program as content for some kind of client showcase. So you can feature clients in stories directly, whether, let's say you have a podcast or you send out emails or you have social media or anything, anytime you are sharing wisdom, you can use an interview with a client as part of that. And it doesn't have to be complicated at all. It could literally be one question. But the idea is you can make your clients feel amazing because you're showcasing them and their transformation. And the most important thing, this is how I started, I'm going to say it again. The most important thing is resonance. When you're sharing the stories, you always want to end with a phrase that makes people feel this, which is like I want you to say something like, I would love for you to be our next story, just like Rochelle. Or I would love, we just told the story of Alex. Alex went from here to here. Here's the transformation. Joanne, I want you to be our next story. So that feeling of here's the story I'm telling, here's the journey that person went through. I would like to take you on this journey too. And that connection of one person who's reading or watching or experiencing the story you just told, it creates hope for them because they're probably feeling some kind of struggle. They may be feeling like, I can never get this done. I'll never be able to do this. And then all of a sudden you're saying, I believe in you. I want you to be this next story. And that feeling is incredible. And it's a great form of leadership for you and them. So, oh, look, there's that question again. It just keeps showing up every week. Isn't it wild? Before we get into some love seating and Q&A from the storyteller, what has been most useful so far? Can you please let me know in the chat what's been most useful so far from this segment today? Anne, can you share?
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that before, about creating hope for people. I think that's really powerful.
Thank you.
It's a lovely reframe.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
We
and without hope, you've got nothing. So hope's everything. Yeah.
Hope.
I love it.
I think as guides, where we're guiding our clients on a journey, two of the crucial components are hope and safety. So hope for what's possible in the future, and then a safe space for them to create that transformation, because transformation has to happen outside your comfort zone. So you might as well feel as safe as possible in the guidance of someone who is holding your hand throughout that transformation.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Jenna?
What's been most helpful? I am almost better, by the way. I am kicking COVID's ass. Energy works. And then basic health. But I mean, just the whole thing, like the storytelling, and I just got off a podcast and was telling them how my book is storytelling based, and there's 20-year-olds. They were so cute. I didn't know they were so young, and they're asking me questions. They're like, that's amazing. I'm like, I feel very special. But really story based, and the testimonials that I've got were like, I just feel like I'm freaking people out. Like, can you give me a testimonial? And then I'm like, sorry for making you feel like the whole thing is messy. But what I do now is I do capture at the end of the call. They'll say, this woman today was like, oh, when you told me to lean back and when you told me to watch how I'm breathing while I'm speaking, that's a game changer. Like, she's like, I've never been told those cues before. And so I extract them. And so that method is so good. And consent is so important. And I have a quick question for psychotherapy and transformation. I do find that I like to protect their privacy. but I also really like audio and video. I guess it's just depending on asking questions, but I just run into that. Do you have anything to say about it other than consent?
I think, well, that, you may want to, well, actually, no, there's no real difference, other than maybe pre-framing at the beginning that if you ever say anything that I think would be useful to inspire other people, I will ask for your permission. So you're safe to share, like, this is the safest space ever. And know that nothing will ever be shared outside of this.
Oh, I like that. I can even put that in their agreement, like their coaching agreement. Like, we're going to have it recorded, and if at any time, so that I'll give them double consent, though, right? Like,
exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Cool. Kevin, can you share?
Yeah, hey, Joe. Yeah, I just really like the idea of, bringing someone back with a current cohort, someone who's been successful in the past, and that I think that's really better than kind of any testimonial that you're going to read, because again, it's someone that can share their story and someone other people can relate to, and they've gone through the program, they've encountered all the obstacles and found ways to overcome. So it's good little inspiration for people to just see that, and like you said, create that little bit of hope.
Love that. Thank you. So great to see you, by the way. If I haven't, I think I mentioned it, but Kevin and I went to high school together, so we've known each other for decades. Sorry, I mean, we've known each other for 7 years. Thank you, Kevin. For all of you that were in Super Words before Odyssey, you may remember we did a bonus session, and it was where are they now? So based on what Kevin mentioned, we had Joey Ragona, we had Dr. Julia, we had Jenny and Vince, and I interviewed them, shared their story about transformation. So that's what I mean by you can bring people back in different contexts. So I love that. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so we'll do some love seating and Q&A, and I'm glad you're here because I had asked to talk about your love letter. So, and are you able to? Yeah. Okay, cool. I love all the artistry you always put into stuff. It's amazing, and I love. Did you confirm the name? Because I remember you're trying to figure out the name of.
Yes. Everybody said, just keep it simple, keep it the same as my TEDx, make it the Clarity Quest.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you start off by saying you're looking for select few trailblazers. Do the people okay, so is this program something completely new, or have you been working with clients, taking them through this process already, either one-on-one or in other things?
Yeah, I have with my vision mapping. So I have done coaching, but it brings everything together and it follows on from my TEDx talk. So yeah, I would say the people that I work with are trailblazers because they're carving new paths. They've all got new ways of doing things.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking you this question is because I've seen this come up a bunch of times for all of you in terms of language. And one of the key components of the hand raiser and the love letter is that the language has to be the words of your clients, not yours. So what I mean by this, you might call your clients trailblazers, and once they're a client and they connect to that and it makes sense, and you do they like if I found one of your clients before they worked with you and I went to their Facebook profile, do they say I'm a trailblazer? Do they use the word? Otherwise, you may want to find other language that really resonates with where they are before working with you. It's this before and after language thing I'm going to mention over and over the next few weeks, because the key to the resonance is that it has to be their words. And if they're not already using that word, they may not think it's right for them. And that I'm sharing that with you, but it's really for all of us here.
Okay.
The rest of your love letter looked amazing. You have obviously your map figured out, which is great. And I had mentioned in campus that, and again, I'm sharing this with you, but really for everybody, if you're going to create an offer, like a time limited discount or bonus or promo, you want to give enough time to be able to have conversations with people, even if the conversations are back and forth in email. So that let's say you sent out your hand raiser today, you don't want to say that the offer expires this Friday and giving them like 2 hours, unless you've communicated with. So these are people who are in your world and they just are fast acting. If it's a brand new thing, and if it's your first group for all of you, and you want to create an offer, I would suggest not having a time, not making it time sensitive at all, where the launch of the program is the time sensitivity. So instead of saying you'll get a bonus if you sign up before, like let's say you say my program starts May 15th. If you sign up before May 1st, you'll get a bonus or a discount. I would just say, if you sign up for the program, you'll get this, especially if it's your first one. So if you sign up for this program, you'll get the special offer because you're a founding member. Like that's the incentive of being first, and offer. So that way it gives you more time to communicate with people, and people may need more time to go back and forth. What you don't want is the deadline passes and then you're like, oh crap, now what incentive do I offer? The other important thing for all of you is, especially with your first group, but this could be any cohort, you don't have to stop inviting people when your program starts. So let's say your program starts May 20th. You can keep enrolling people. I mean, it's up to you, but my suggestion is keep enrolling people up until the end of May, or even our rule is usually 2 weeks in. So if it's a 12-week program, we'll keep inviting people until after the second coaching call, because by then people may feel like I've missed too much. But as long as you're recording the calls and people can get access to the replays, it gives you an extra incentive, or not incentive, it gives you extra time to enroll people. And the time sensitivity of the urgency gets more and more, the further away you get from the program start date. Does that make sense?
Brilliant. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Rochelle has a question about Trailblazer.
Question about languaging. My thought is, sometimes when you speak about something, I may not use the word trailblazer, but it's such an unusual word, and it's such a vivid, exciting word that it would draw me to her even more, although it may not be my language. So what's your thought on that? Because I may not consider it may not come out of my mouth, but when she says it, it's so vivid that I'm connecting to it immediately. And I'm saying, why aren't I a trailblazer? What's your thought on that?
Well, you just mentioned, like, why aren't I one? So someone who doesn't identify with the word will think this program's not for me, because she's looking for people who are like, I'll give you an example.
But I don't use that word. That's not a word that I would ever use.
Right. But you want to use, for all of you, you want to use language that attracts people using the words that they would already use. Here's what I mean. So if I said, I am looking for 5 highly successful entrepreneurs, and in my head, I'm talking about all of you. But if you don't think that you're a highly successful entrepreneur, you're going to think I'm talking about somebody else. So that my only point here is there has to be resonance with the words, the language you use, only in like the love letter and hand raiser, because the point of this is to have people self-identify. So if I said, I'm looking for 5 chiropractors, if someone has that label, then, oh, they're looking for me. Like, that's the only thing you want from the hand raiser. This person's talking to me. So the language you use has to be language they would already use as some kind of label or identification of themselves. And it could be adjectives. And that's why it's important not to, sometimes we use our own language that we like to use, but then people may not raise their hand because they think it's not for them. And Jenna just wrote in the chat, she used to use the phrase high achiever, but then her clients don't feel like high achiever. Right. Like you could say, and Jenna, and even for Anne, Jenna can say, I help people go from something, which is the before language, to high achiever. So if there's an aspirational component, so Anne could say, I help people go from something to trailblazer. And if they resonate with that word, if that's where they aspire to be, then it makes sense. And by the way, for both love letter, hand raiser, I love if the first line or somewhere at the top, you use a before and after before and after language or analogies. So I'm looking for 5 people who want to go from this to that. That framework is amazing. Sophie, I just want to, can you ask your question about raising the price so I know what you mean?
Yes, some sessions back somewhere, you said that if you want to raise your prices, but you're feeling a little iffy about it, I seem to recall, hopefully correctly, that you can tell people they can get the current price, not the new price, if they sign up before a certain date. No, or did I miss?
The current price or not the new, like that might be for your second or third cohort or that kind of thing. Yeah, not for the first. So for the first one is, yeah, I'm saying if you're launching a thing, you don't have to have a join before this date and get a special offer. I would just say join as a founding member and get the special offer. Katie?
Hi.
Hi. So you asked.
I asked if people want to come again. Basically, you just answered that you give a family price. Is that so?
Okay, so if you run a transformational program and you have someone sign up for that, and then they want to join again, that's what you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would suggest offering something specific just for those people. That could be because they've already invested. So yes, I would do something very special for them, but only for them.
Actually, I had a last time when I gave my last wanted to give a course. I only had people who really re-signed up, but I didn't have newcomers, and it was very strange. And we also didn't get the group full, so it was like a very strange feeling. And now I'm also a little bit blocked because I think if again only these people come, it somehow doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think, and this is why this process is so important, to collect stories along the way, and then as you are running your group. So let's say you're launching in May, and it's a 12-week program. Those 12 weeks is delivery for your current members, but it's also nurturing relationships for your next group. So I wouldn't wait until the group is over and say, okay, now I want to start marketing for my second cohort or my next, whatever the next cohort is. I would start immediately thinking, okay, how do I start developing and building relationships now for people who could join 4 months from now into my next cohort? And that way, by the time you're ready to launch the next one, you have people who are nurtured and who are excited. And once you say, I'm doing this, and then along the way, you're telling the stories of people you've helped, it makes it so much easier to launch a second one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was last week, I think, in the session where I said, or in the training, people will often ask me, how do I want to do my first event. What advice do you have for me? And I always say, plan your second event. And they always look at me funny, but it's because your first, whether it's your first group coaching or your first event or whatever it is, there's novelty, people are excited, they want to support you. And if you start already thinking about the second cohort, like in this case, and start planning for that, it'll make your life so much easier because you're giving yourself a lot more runway and time to develop those relationships. So you're not rushed or hurrying or stressed about how do I find people for this next group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the question. Is Candace here? Candace, are you able to unmute and come on?
Hello.
Hi. So in campus, you said that your current struggle is with the map itself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a bit of context?
I have difficulty trying to take the transformation from my words and put it into their words. So what I did was I took, instead of doing it like 12 weeks and kind of having a description of what happens each week, what I did was I have a framework, a 4-part framework. So what I did was I took the 4-part framework and I'm trying to put the transformation in that way, if that makes sense.
Well, I want to maybe I'm about to share might be super helpful for you, but really for everybody. When I say that the hand raiser specifically has to be in the language of a before client, meaning their paradigm before they work with you, and the love letter as well, it's more for the description of them and who they are and what they want. But when you're creating your map, that's the time all of us get to use our language, and you can go hardcore with your own whatever fun language you have for your thing, because that's your differentiating unique intellectual property or your framework that's unique to you. So when you're talking about them, try your best to use words that they would use. When you're talking about you or your program, then you can have more fun with it. Like if you even look at this program, the storyteller and the dream conversation, that's all my language. But that's what makes it unique and distinct from other things. And that's where you can maybe have a bit more fun and creative play with words that mean things to you. And it doesn't have to have context to them, as long as the description explains like a mini transformation for each thing that you teach, or what they can expect to be talking about, or what the theme is for every session.
See, that's my hang up, where finding a name for each week.
Then if you're stuck there, then use the most plainest language first to talk about what you want to talk about. And then as you start having the conversation, see what words come up from the conversations themselves. So you can keep it, by the way, and this is the other thing, especially if it's your first group, you don't have to have the map completely nailed. And you don't have to even share too much specifics, because you can't actually know. Like when you're running your first group, you're co-creating a lot of it with the group itself. And you'll see what works, what doesn't work, how you can edit and change it, so that as you keep running cohorts, it organically shifts and evolves, and then you can change the language. My map has evolved, I don't know, 12 times. So what I'm teaching now is completely different than 5 years ago, than 10 years ago. And that's total. Not only is it fine, it's actually good, because that means you're getting more and more defined and precise with who you're working with and what they want and those kinds of things. So thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there, in all the examples, it's always been a small number. And is there something that, I presume that's purposeful, and that is there some sort of don't go above this, and because it creates some sort of implied messaging, and just a little more insight into that.
I'll share from my experience. I don't know, like my assumption is that what I'm about to share will be useful and applicable for all of you, but this is my experience, which is a single digit odd number. So 5 or 7 or 3 seems to have, I don't know why, but I think there's a specificity to a small number, and it feels more real if it's an odd number. I think. I don't have an explanation. I can only tell you my experience, and we've tested this concept hundreds of times. What I wouldn't do is a range. So, which I've seen some of you do. Like, I'm looking for 8 to 10 people. Like, don't have a range, just have a very specific number, because it's the specificity itself that is the precision of the language. And then a small number. I don't have a good reason for why this works. I just, like, 5 would be way better than 15. Even if your group, even if you want 15 people in your group, the fact that of how this thing works is to use a small number. And in the past, I felt like I don't want to, not that you're lying, but let's say you want 15 people in your group and you say, I'm looking for 5. And in your head, you're like, but I want 15. The way I get around that, because I don't want to even tell a half truth. I want it to be precise because I love precision of language. I'll say I'm looking for 5 more. So I'm looking for 5 more entrepreneurs who want this thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. That was going to be my next one, is that if I ask for 7, but I really want more, is it okay if I get a bunch of people signing up that's more than 7? Okay, got it.
Yes, always good.
Thanks.
As long as you, I mean, depending on what kind of work you're each doing, in some industries or practices, you may want a smaller group because you want to get way more intimate with people. Others, you can have 100 or 200 people. I suggest trying to stick for if it's your first time ever doing this, 3, 5, or 10 people in your first group to get used to the process, and then you can keep growing on top of that. I think I answered a lot of these number questions. Jenna?
I have a question about group numbers because I do deep transformation one-on-one, and as I learned with Todd's group and yours, to be specific, we're going to do this in this group, A to B. But I'm kind of playing with having a pod, 4 people, and I don't know if it'll work. 4 people that I'm going to take through the same transformation I take one person through, deep dives, and then have a group. So it's one's transformational coaching and I'm with you, we're transforming your life, and the other one's kind of transformational education. Let's move you through this one specific part of this bigger piece. And that's kind of where I think I'd like to bring my business. And I just wanted to get it out of my head and over to someone who knows about this stuff.
Okay, so first let me zoom out. Everything we talk about in terms of enrollment and attracting clients, this can also work for one-on-one coaching. This can also work for different things. Now, with respect to size of a group, you have to experiment with what works in your world. If you've never done it in that way, that's why I love the word experiment, because you want to see how it resonates for people. And as an example, so I mentioned Dr. Julia Sen, who was one of our past case studies. She is a therapist who works with people who are having fertility challenges. So it's really specific work where there's a lot of tension and intimacy in the relationship. And when she, even when the pandemic started, she's like, how do I want to do groups. And it was one-on-one in person in her clinic. She's like, I don't know, how can I do groups of, and I said, just trust me, you can do it. Now, all she does is groups online, and her magic number is 6. So she experimented and she said, I want 6 people per cohort. That's the most I want to do because of what we're talking about. And they, her patients, love it. She runs 7 concurrent groups at the same time because she's nuts. Wow. That works for her. She loves it and it works. So, she has at any given time 7 groups running.
Okay. That's really good data though. This person tried this and 6 kind of worked. That's helpful because I see 2 different things. Okay. Yeah. I'll start with 1 and I'll market that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that will bring us to the end of today's session. Next week, we're going to be doing all Q&A love seats. So ask your questions in campus. I'll try my best to cover as many of them beforehand, but then anytime there's an example that's useful for all of us, we'll do it live on the call. Thank you all for today, and see you all very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day.